Welcome back once again, everyone. So glad to have folks checking out my hardcore Minecraft playthrough in Vanilla World. Back again. Um, have been getting the first play session recordings loaded up into YouTube. As many may know, if you've done it yourself, recording is the fun and easy part. Getting things loaded up, certainly when you're doing that for the first time is a fun and exciting learning process. A little tongue in cheek there, but yeah, it's there's some tricks to learn along the way, and I got a real good opportunity to learn several right out of the gate. As folks probably caught while I was running that first play session, and you'll see them broken up into chunks on my page in YouTube. Anyway, um, I ran about a 5 hour first session. I was having so much fun and just kind of running along. Let that go as one big chunk, and of course, that was my first opportunity to load into YouTube. So couple gotchas and just sharing my experience here as we kind of get things going and set up. I'll certainly tell you more about that, but yeah, first of all, watch your go to sleep settings on whatever computer you're using to load. As I found out, it's going to run for a number of hours depending on your connection, and anytime you've got multiple gigs of video to get loaded up there, that's certainly going to be a time intensive operation. Well, I got everything running nicely and thought I was all set, and then it turned out my computer had decided to take a nap at a little ways into it. So that slowed me down. Gotcha number two. This was my purely, all these are my own fault. Anytime you're trying something new, you're going to learn lessons that others have, or just aren't all that obvious. You don't think about right out of the gate. So lesson number two for me, um, and it probably only happens once or twice, but when you're loading videos into YouTube, there is a limit if you're not verified at 15-minute videos. And that, yeah, great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? If you aren't going to be willing to verify that your account is a real person, and that kind of stuff, then yeah, it's probably fair to have a cap. I just didn't think about it. And there's nothing really to give you that heads up as you're getting started. So I loaded 5 hours of video, which took more hours than that to get fully up to speed, especially with a stop overnight. And only to find out, oh yeah, sorry, we can't load this video for you. It's not You're not a verified account. Here, go ahead and do this to verify the account. Easy enough, did it. Happy to do so. Then I found out that once that video, even though it's loaded and you've now verified your account, there's no way, at least that I could find, to follow that up by activating the video that you've already loaded. So repeat the upload process while that first loaded but not published video is just staring in the face the whole time. So apologies for the delay. You guys obviously don't suffer at all for it, but we got them up. I learned my lessons. The other two are loaded and scheduled, and we'll be publishing. I'm going to try to keep content flowing. I'd like to keep a steady stream of content going, and as we break it up a little bit more regularly, that shouldn't be a problem at all. In fact, I think, just with my enthusiasm to get going here, we're going to have more than our hands full of opportunities and content to load up for you guys. So hope you continue to enjoy it. Please, if you do stumble across the page, drop a comment, let me know what you think, and offer any feedback. But for now, let's stop back gabbing and get back into the game here. Again, I think we made a very good start on our second world, and we're going to uh, pick back up where we left off. Um, again, a couple more notes, and I think these got corrected a little bit later on. But window sizing having loaded and just kind of checked out my first video to see how it played out, belatedly realized that I was clipping off the bottom of the screen. So while you partially got to see my toolbar, you didn't see numbers of items in the toolbar, some of those kind of things. Again, apologies, and I still expect that we're maybe clipping a little bit across the back end of our, or the sides, back end, the sides of our my visible world, as opposed to what you guys are seeing. So if anyone has thoughts on, I'm using the just out there free use OBS studio. If anybody has information on how to play a game in full screen but scale that to the visible window within OBS, I've been playing around with that a little bit, and certainly, we'll adapt as needed. But boy, sure would be nice if there's just an auto scaler to get that going. So thoughts and just kind of the process going on. Let's get back in here and kind of reset where we were at. So we started a wheat field, and we talked a little bit about how allowing for things to be working while we're busy on other projects is the way to get ahead. Whether you're fully automated or not, it's just nice to have things going. So eventually, we're gonna kind of get a big feel for crop management and making this into not just a home and what we eventually like to make it is kind of that typical first Minecraft experience of maybe some kind of a walled or just nicer compound encampment, group of what hopefully will be a nicer house, maybe a storage type building up high, towers, that kind of stuff, but a building. Um, yeah, we'll get going on that, but we'll want to have some food while we're going. So we're going to work towards that. We've got a couple just items that we picked up along the way in our inventory that we need to tidy up. So we've got food supplies and a little bit of wool that we sheared. We also nicely picked up our milk, and I'm not going to carry that around all the time. Again, I don't expect to spend a lot of time being poisoned, which I thought belatedly as I was kind of watching back. We had an interaction with the witch, and fortunately they didn't poison us. But witches have a very intense health poison potion that they were throwing. The witch was throwing that bottle at us, and one of them we just kind of tucked tail and ran a long way to get rid of. But um, having a bucket of milk, even if you take that, you can kind of go face to face, take down that witch, get them out of the way, and then get rid of the poison before it really just sucks up all your food. So we'll continue to work on that. We also got down to diamond level, and today I think we're going to see if we can't expand a little bit and maybe push towards a finding our first diamonds that we're mining and get those either turned into tools, weapons, or some armor. And we're also going to want to get some stairs between us and the bottom of this mine. And I think I'm going to do that to start here while we're kind of getting going. Um, just, it's good to kind of take a project at a time or have a few things going on. But we definitely want to get settled in here and see what we've got going. So this isn't going to be all the steps that we need for our full project, but it will probably get us one side, I think, done to get down to the ground level and back up again. So we'll have one column of stairs. I don't want those stairs. So let's, without further ado, get that going. Stairs are so nice for what you're eventually going to be coming up and down seemingly endlessly in the course of a world. We're going to get very familiar with this location, and as we do, we want to make it easy on ourselves to go up and down. Um, I kind of thinking, wood stairs are nice if you want. You can use stone. Even cobble will be shapeable into stairs, and a lot of times I've used just the base cobble stone to make a staircase. I think the wood just looks a little more homey, right? We want to feel comfortable in our environment here, and you know, running up and down stairs, it would be nice if they were carpeted, right? Have a nice little runner up the middle of them. I don't believe you can make colored carpeted stairs though, so we'll just enjoy the wood here and get at least one stripe of stairs in place. And I think I'd like to use some spruce for that middle section, and then do some more of this. But excuse me, we will set that up as time allows. For now, we can at least speed up our up and down process a little bit. Again, we've got a little bit of margin on our iron. We know that we're going to kind of be diving into the caves, and we're looking to get our cows up to the point where we can start taking a few, getting some better um, nourishment out of our food, because we can blow through 27 wheat or 27 pieces of bread pretty quickly once we start mixing it up with some of the mobs. So as we know, we are stairs here. Let's just get a little direction. Head east. Again, just for sake of showing the layout. Oh man, we've already wasted a big chunk of a day. Just kind of getting going here, and again, I think we'll develop a routine where we can dive in, and I certainly won't have uploading stories to share that often. But so here's our road. East is the direction of our staircase, as hopefully most people know. East sun rises, west is where it's going to set. Right now it's pretty much straight overhead, and sitting on our peninsula here, we talked about this a little bit in the last round, but what we've got around us, to the extent that we've done our exploring, is our spruce forest extending into the distance there. We've got our grasslands we kind of approached from that side. And we know, that works vaguely back towards how we come. In these directions, west, and that'll make that north, we've got more teas of oceans, and not the best, but really what I'm thinking for our initial, before we start tunneling too much with our cave systems or mine systems, is looking at the footprint of where we're at. And of course, as we go deep, we travel out this way a ways. And I think that's going to be pretty good, because we're going to put our farms out in that direction. We want to be down the hill a little bit, but we don't want to dig forever. So as we get a little bit better positioned with some iron, we can make loads of shovels and use those up quickly without worrying about waste. We'll kind of push off in that direction, and I'll want to have a cleared out space underneath there to get uh, those crops continuing to grow as I do mining or storage or inventory sorting. We talked about that plenty yesterday, or I'm sorry, not yesterday, a few days ago for me, but in the last play session. So that's kind of what we're looking at, and just to get an idea and kind of compare. If we go out to where this river bends as a starting point, a kind of a rough edge of our field, and I'm just kind of watching our numbers here. As you can see, as we move east and west, our X number is going up and down, roughly between 172, which was actually the range I wanted to find. So 172 looks to be about the edge of the river. We don't want to be right on top of it. So 175 negative looks to be about the kind of right range there. So I wanted to get a feel for that, and we can put that as kind of the far edge of what may be our fields, and then lots of room coming back, and that can be way out there if it needs to. Lots of room to work with, but that gives us a starting point to take a look at what we've got down below when it doesn't necessarily map up. And it kind of just helps to keep in mind what's above you when you're working. And there may be loads of fun stuff in between the diamond levels of the mine. Again, level 11 is where I like to work, and surface level, especially that we're up on a hill. So let's head down our nice new side staircase here. And I think we're going to shave that a little bit. I don't like that. That's why I take that one extra section. It just, doesn't matter a whole lot, but it certainly feels like you're on the brink of whacking your head. And for anybody who's actually done that in staircases, it can feel painful. So that helps relate where our stairs took us all the way to in the course of um, building out. Obviously, if we'd done the tight spiral, we'd be right underneath the house, but we've come all the way out to beyond the edge of that river. Here we're at 163, so a dozen blocks beyond what we were kind of marking as the edge of where we wanted to start our farms. So as I'm still kind of getting going and want to start pushing out, I'm going to probably make this row and beyond the beginning of our bigger space. Well, certainly, this is kind of a nice little area to hang out, as we are going to go through it every time we come down here. But we also want to be able to push out and have lots of room for activities that we may want to engage in. So that's kind of what we're thinking. But for now, we're going to uh, just push on this edge, and we may run into lava very quickly here. We were hearing it as we got started. But yeah, we're just going to kind of see what obstacles may be in our immediate vicinity on this known side as we set up our run. And you may notice I'm going to repeatedly um, tap down at 5 blocks out, and I should have already set up a little bit better. Obviously, we're not going to probably need an axe too much, but we'll definitely want to keep our shovel ready to go for the occasional pockets of dirt and gravel that we'll come across. So what we're exploring, we're looking for diamonds, and we're mining, but as we're going, we're helping to start set our grid for any future rooms. And again, 5 torches between each one seem to me to work out really well for spacing up for lighting, and also just to give area that you can then work individual modules, for lack of a better word, into the space. So here we go. We were talking about having potential obstacles. We've reached our first um, piece of an underground lava lake that we may have to deal with, and we're going to want to balance these, and it will kind of be determined a lot based on what resources we have at hand. For one thing, relatively early on in the game, we'll need to harvest some obsidian, and you can make obsidian using this lava that we have here. But for now, we don't even have the robust enough tools to make that happen. So I'm just going to throw some stone blocks down on top and let us move through that area. We'll know it's here, and it's kind of handy to have some lava around. It is an alternative to cacti for getting rid of spare or overwhelmingly piled up gear in your inventory. And that can come in handy. Good. Got some iron here. We're definitely going to want to make use of that. I gather it up. So that'll be a little bit of an expansion. Now, normally, once we kind of get going and we're just doing a run for diamonds, what I'll typically do is go out a long ways and then gather up the materials on the way back down. Early on, as we are, I kind of just want to make sure that, particularly iron, which we're still short on for the moment, we get it in case we run into trouble and have to beat a hasty retreat, get out before trouble calls our name again. So, at least with the iron, and certainly if we are fortunate enough to get a few diamonds out in this direction, we'll make full use of that. So again, 5 in a row, and we're just pushing on underneath the grassy plain that eventually will make up our farms. And one of the first real digging for stone projects is I think we'll expand this out to a full section and use it to ensure that we've got lots of space to move quickly. Just running down a double tunnel is, it's nice enough. When you can't get off track, you're not going to get in any kind of real trouble. But that'll give us more chance for diamonds and eventually outline, a bigger underground chamber where we can work. You may hear that behind the sound of my voice. We've got a boat-toting little friend somewhere up above us. And this is why I do enjoy expanding in a direction, even though it may not be immediately efficient. This is going to give us a chance to see, what's up above us back there. Are there any diamonds and things scattered on the edges of caves? But of course, there's lots of danger and potential for trouble. So we kind of want to make sure that we're ready to go as we head in here. So what we're going to do is pop that block, hope nothing drops immediately on our head, and then run in a direction. Good. Now we know we've got kind of a safe side beyond where we're working from. So now we can kind of push out. We know we can hear them. There's monsters out there. I've heard both zombies and skeletons. And there's our first little zombie friend dealt with. Okay, and this is what I was talking about with holes above your head, where the unsuspecting can receive visitors from above. And as I work in caves, I definitely try to get up high, wherever I think that's a possibility of there being levels immediately above me, rather than pushing on through the depths. So let's just see what's in store. You just don't know what you're stepping into quite until you've got a chance. So this at least gives me a little bit of comfort as we get started. We know that there's probably the skeleton that we were hearing earlier in our own tunnel. And as you can see, this is going to wrap back around towards that room. Now he's got a enchanted bow, and that could, depending on what enchantment's on there, we wouldn't know unless he happened to drop it and we could pick it up. But we definitely want to give him a wide berth, because if he had a nice punch enchantment on his bow. That could mow through our hearts pretty quickly. Again, you may have noticed I grabbed the shield. Don't really like using it all the time, and where we'd been farming earlier, I definitely pulled that out of my hands. But it's nice early for skeletons. Whoa. So we'll just tow it around here and replace our torches. It's not the end of the world if you let a couple creepers do their thing. They, at the very least, will maybe expose some extra ore down a layer below what you're looking at. But while it's nice to get a little bit of gunpowder from those kills, and the experience early is nice, they're not impossible to kill. But if the terrain isn't right, because as you've watched, 3 or 4 back and forth attacks to push them back and keep the explosions from actually being in proximity to start. That's kind of the name of the game with creepers early on. We missed him. He's just going to kind of stay up there and make it difficult. There he comes. Now see, once you've got the shield, you can kind of, it slows things down. It's more fun to not need it and just run around and let them get one shot off maybe at you while you've got good armor. But for the early part, it isn't the end of the world to just block a few arrows, get in close, and take them out as needed. So we'll keep pushing along, and now I think we're at least close enough to grab 2 more pieces of iron. I don't like that proximity, but I also don't want to take the time to fill it back in or block it. Just a random one. Now here's what I definitely like to look at. When you get those lava lakes, sometimes you'll see a wall on the far side that has some diamonds or gold ore or even that redstone. Until we are actively using it, I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag to go after redstone specifically. We want to take it when it's obvious and there, but it can clog up your inventory pretty quick, limiting how much time you can actually spend down here. And it doesn't have a whole lot of use until a little bit further down in the game. So feel free to leave it. The real appeal for me is to be able to gather that without breaking it into the individual things. You saw there, I think we grabbed 2 pieces, and we've got 19 pieces of redstone. So just in a decent vein of redstone ore or nodes, you can end up with a couple stacks of redstone dust, and it just needs a trip back home. You don't want to necessarily throw it away, even though we're not going to be using it a ton from the very start. It's not something we want to just abandon. It definitely, there will come a time when you can use a lot of redstone, and if you're thinking back, oh man, remember when I had a whole bunch and just threw it into a lava lake to clear up my inventory, can feel a little bit like a waste. So where you can, maybe consider leaving it in place and coming back for it. A lot of these things, once they've been cleared out, this may touch our room. I don't know how far it will expand. Basically, I want to grow to the footprint of our farms so that we can, even run a lap while we're clearing our inventory or something to get uh, all the crops actively growing overnight while we're down in the basement, so to speak. So it may come up this far, and we may end up revisiting to clear just because it's easy to get to. But when we're 100 blocks out in a direction in a 2x2 or a 1x2 pathway, we find a cave and leave some redstone, chances are we're not going to bother to cycle back and pick that up again. You know, it's kind of your one shot. You're not going to run back through a cave and go, okay, yeah, I remember I left one node of redstone there and it's worth it to grab that. You're just going to go find a new cave and try to get it from there, or use up some villager emeralds to get it. So yeah, we'll just pick up a few here and there, maybe leave some in this particular spot. We're doing pretty well in our space right now. We haven't had to clear a lot. Unfortunately, though, we haven't seen diamonds, and that would have been pretty great. I guess we're gonna spend some more time up by our little ender buddy and maybe get him clear now. Eventually, we're gonna be taking down Endermen left and right and laughing at him. But as you can see, he hit me once and took out 2.5 hearts of health. But he can't go in a three block tall area. So I just made a little corner before I hit him. I can pull back here. Be careful though. If he stands here, then he can reach his arm in and give us a good whack, which he did. But no real harm done. And we got our first Ender Pearl, which we'll need a number of eventually. One to get to the end. There's a portal that we need to activate, and a little bit long term, but end pearls have a number of uses, and you'll see they at some point we'll have so many of them that they'll just be coming out of our ears. But until then, we're going to keep them to make the Eyes of Ender, which will activate that portal, help us find the portal, and allow us the creation of Ender chests. And those are all great, but once we have a bunch, you can also use them to transport yourself short distances very quickly. Not gonna, at the moment, bother carrying that as a transport device. I think we'll, get to it, but frankly, while I may eat these words, I'm not as worried about having to throw out of lava or something like that here in the diamond levels of the mine, as opposed to wanting to have an extra food. Right now, we're carrying wheat. Maybe not the most essential item to carry around with us in the caves, but it'll remind us to feed our cows and that we've got a wheat farm going when we go back up to the surface. So it's a nice wide little chamber, I guess, going down to a big old lava lake. And while we want to watch above, this is what gives us that kind of window of visibility. I think that's where we approached before and not seen much, but here we've got a couple more caves that we can jump over to again, fingers crossed, hope that without a lot of digging, we might get on some diamonds. However, I think we used a lot of that luck up in our first world when we wasted our possession of an enchanted golden apple. So I think we'll be hunting. If I have a gut feeling, we're going to be hunting for a lot of stuff that we need. Maybe tough to find wart. Maybe tough to find a fortress. Maybe tough to find diamonds. All those things we may have to earn everything we get. Let's go ahead and take this gold. We talked about regular golden apples back when we had some in the other world. Early on, it's tough to pile up the amount of gold that we need to really get a good supply. But between potentially finding some of those gold blocks at uh, broken nether portals on the surface, um, it may be that we can track down a place where we can kind of grow those and help ourselves a little bit. So, oh, trouble. Getting to a point where you're stuck. We saw it yesterday with our last session with a creeper. If you find yourself sitting down a 2-block ledge and trouble comes, the truth is you may not be able to get away from whatever it is that you're suddenly threatened by. So definitely try to be on the lookout for those situations. Now, we kept one water, and I wanted that one because it goes into unknown heights above. But having that one that we can kind of use to swim uphill, we've dried up the other one, or just blocked off that spring to clear up a little bit. And naturally, we now have a nice source of obsidian. We didn't have to do anything. This just formed naturally. But as I mentioned, farming obsidian with a bucket of water, you can spill it out over existing lava lakes. This is going to give us plenty of obsidian for our early game, just to work from here. So something to keep in the back of our minds. Now, excuse me, a little frog in my throat. As we poke our way around, we hear some spiders there. We hear a zombie somewhere. Don't see him yet. We see a bat. We see some gravel that could fall on our or others' heads. Ooh, let's see if we can get a gravel kill on this zombie. Hey, buddy, come on. Alright, you're coming. No, didn't fall. What I was hoping is by knocking out that piece of gravel, we would drop those ceiling pieces, and if they go up far enough, we could have effectively entombed that poor little zombie in gravel, letting him suffocate and not being a bother to us anymore. Instead, we just went the old-fashioned way. So let's grab up this iron, add it to our stock, and within these caves that we've kind of been trying to secure, batten down, I guess, to get torches out and make sure that they're not going to spawn things behind us. We've exposed a lot of iron that we've skipped past, and now we'll just kind of do a reverse trip to pick up as much of that as we can. Really, with the exception of diamonds, our main concerns, even down here, are can we find iron, coal, gold, and the diamonds. The other stuff, we certainly can grab it for the XP, although, as we touched on a little bit, the higher your level early before you've really got gear to support it, the more you're going to be inviting greater numbers of mobs. It's not terrible, but until we really get to enchantment or repairing tools, that kind of stuff, not a lot of cause to chase that stuff down. I saw down above that lava lake there was some coal on the ceiling. Not going to worry about it too much. It may fall, even if we went to clear it, it may fall into the lava lake. and it also may... it's probably that same guy with the enchanted bow. No. Oh, no, it looks like he got replaced. Eventually, we're going to want to... I got him with his own arrow. Not too shabby. Good. Now, this looks like, fairly typical of what a ravine would look like on a much larger scale. And ravines are something we'll definitely spend some time in. They're very cool features and offer lots of peril and also fun to be had. This one doesn't go up very high. Obviously we were right up there anyway, so not a lot right in this little section, but it does offer a few risks that I'm watching out for as we go here. The water can be good and bad. It can pile up mobs away from us, but it also slows our ability to get out if we need to get back to wherever we came from, like over here. So we just want to make sure that we're either containing at the bottom or getting those wrapped up once we know that it's not holding back a whole big troop of enemies that may get unleashed if you just block it at the source without really figuring out where it goes. And this is a nice long extra run from this room. Got a little coal, no iron, unfortunately, and we've kind of crept uphill from where we were working. So running in the info screen as we have here, and I apologize, just kind of left it up after we talked about it. We're at levels 26, 27. That's really too high for diamonds anyway. I think 16 is about where you want to stop looking for diamonds, which is another advocate for that level 11. When you're working there, you can reach up 5 blocks to clear. So as you're working a ceiling, if you want to go that high, or even just 3 or 4, odds are if there's any diamonds hanging out in the levels above you, you'll see 1 or 2 poking down that far, and can expand as needed, even if it's not a part of your excavation plans. You'll be aware if there are some diamonds lurking and get those. So that's pretty smooth. We're doing well down here, I think. So far, and we've seen a few friends, but they haven't really done too much damage to us, and hopefully won't continue to. This definitely raises potential of yikes, and I think as we said, let's go up, let's get whatever we know to be the top level above us where mobs could drop from. No, I said I was going to get rid of that. No need for it. So this is the advantage. If anybody spawns up here, we can deal with them and not have to risk them dropping on our heads before we're ready, or if we're in the midst of fighting something else. Oh, now here's one little buddy, and the question will be, does he call friends? I'm in a terrible spot. Definitely don't want to be downhill fighting up at enemies. You're not going to get as much effect from each of your swings. They have a chance to push you downhill, and just battle around. So here's kind of our furthest point. We're out of torches. We've explored a lot. We found a great little cave system. Got not overwhelming more iron, but we got some gold. We got an ender pearl. We just picked up 1 random torch, which I'm not gonna run back to deal with, but we'll hang on to it. Um, so yeah, we've got a little situation here that we can kind of exploit. I don't want to get too caught in the caving part. We just have so much of a need right now for more iron and coal until we really get stocked up on those that we're going to prioritize that above the underground. But once we're set, and I think that just having this almost 30 extra pieces will help us out with, then we're kind of back on track to push down on that level 11, keep extending our tunnels there, and see if we can't get those diamonds, because that's the one thing we haven't hit yet. And um, yeah, feel free to let me know. Hopefully, we'll have already reached that point in our playthrough here today. But what do you like to build first with your first diamonds? What's number one priority? I think for me, it's usually a sword. You get that little bit of extra attack damage per swing and the added durability of it. So I definitely take a couple diamonds and put them towards getting my weapon upgraded. And then beyond that, I do like to hang on to 2 diamonds for a particular crafting project that many players will guess right away. Uh, but moving from there, it's a little bit of a toss up. Do you go directly for a pick, which will allow you a little more durability and allow you to get that obsidian and the potential for portals and um, crafting, or do you try to get that armor set up first and be ready to go before you really start jumping through portals and finding out where the worlds can take you? So feel free to comment if you've got a particular technique in how to spend your diamonds, so to speak. So we never made another furnace. Let's do that now. It's kind of a luxury that, oops, helps to put down the actual furnace, not the block. So we'll just put in our spare coal. We can always pull that out if we find we get low, but we've done pretty well on stocking a surplus of coal up. Anytime you're caving, you don't go through the iron of tools quite as quickly, but you blow through those torches, man. So that's why it's nice to keep a big old pile of coal ready to go at a moment's notice. So we've got our flint. First stuff there. We have a couple more pieces of string, and early on we made our fishing rod. If we don't happen to get a mob to drop us one, we'll grab a bow crafting eventually. But as we talked about, until you really get stocked up on arrows, not a lot of call for it. Now, we talked a little bit about ender eyes, and until we have enough of them to start using them for quick tosses and moving around within our visible area, I think we're just going to store them. And it says a little bit about how much I value them. I like to throw them into the treasure chest. They get a spot here. And again, only while we need our first stack or two. Um, Eventually, relatively early in the game process compared to some other stuff, we're going to want to make an end run, and we need about 20 ender pearls to really get set up for that. You don't need a full 20. You're going to need to repair a portal, and that portal will need anywhere from a dozen down in eyes of ender, which you craft with those to activate. There may be a couple already populated into it, but you also need to throw a lot of them just to find your way. And that's where, 20 seems to be a fairly good number. That, if you've got 20 in hand going into it, then you're going to be in a pretty good situation where you're not going to run out uh, before you find the portal and then have a few left to activate it. So we'll just get these cows all a chance to make more, populate their world, and I'm tempted. I still think I'm gonna hold off. It's getting close to that time where we could maybe start harvesting a few of the extras. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I think we've still got a little ways to go. Um, I'd like to harvest our temporary wheat field a couple times, get a few more stacks of wheat in hand before we just wait to set up our actual farming, and then move our cows in there and really start producing intentionally cows for harvest. Because right now we're just kind of letting them do their thing and fill up the area, um, trying to outnumber the sheep a little bit. Because sheep are nice, but cows, they're tasty. And I shouldn't say that. I mean, I enjoy a good lamb as much as anything. Mutton, slow cooker, and as my name alludes to, at some point we'll go into more detail, but I'm a big fan of the slow cooker. So getting some of those traditionally tougher cuts of meat and making them tender through cooking technique. Big fan of that, as my name applies. So no hate on you, sheepy, but your friends here in the cow world are much more valuable. So we're gonna spend what we have on them for the time being, and once we get a few more stacks, we'll switch out, put them into their home, and once we've got them all contained and don't have to run around our whole area just to feed them, oh, we will be in a much better place for food. So again, nice to make those circuits to pick up the droppings when the sun rises. Any mobs that grew overnight while we were down in the basement are likely to abandon a few things that they were carrying as they went. So we've got a few hay bales, and certainly we can convert those. We'll get 9, so that's a stack and a half of wheat right there. But eventually, and there's limited use for hay bales. They're not going to make or break. You don't have to have them vitally, but they do offer a lot of healing to horses once you get them tamed and saddled. And the converse is, once you've got a lot of wheat, you got to use 9 of them just to make a single bale. So finding them in villages is really nice. I don't want to have to use them a whole lot for my cows if I can avoid it. So we'll just keep cheering our wheat on. And look at it. I mean, it's getting nice out there. You can definitely see that there's more wheat grown than just the initial bits we'd had. So now we have I think enough, and we're just gonna take 2 of these apples and get these set up for more of an emergency snack than we have out of our uh, bread and mutton. These won't completely change the world if we run into issues, but they give us that fine little line, perhaps, between a real bad day and a blip on our experience. So here we go. Reset up a little bit. We now have a much more comfortable rebuilding tools supply. And while we're going, man, we gotta go get wood again. This is where sometimes finding a biome that's forested to build your home in, just as you're clearing space for doing the kind of boring stuff like farming, you find you've got more wood than you know what to do with, which is pretty nice. It obviously, you're gonna have to harvest it, and that takes some time. But the flip side is we're gonna have to make a few little trips out to keep our wood stock going early on here. And one thing that's going to counter that is we want those stairs to keep going. We want to have a nice, speedy, and decent looking track to get in and out. So we've now resupplied our torches. They're very good to go. We've got a whole bunch of planks. We can build up our steps as needed, but we don't probably have enough spruce going to keep that going. Man, the other thing we got to do is get this roof. We were talking about that, but I'm enjoying the caving and would kind of like to keep forward progress there. So let's see. This will give us, I think, enough. And as I said, I don't know why it's hit me this way, but I think using some of that spruce wood along with the oak, we could do all oak. We could throw in a cobble in the middle of that too, just something to break it up. A whole bunch of oak all by itself gets a little old and tired. But now we'll have a cool racing stripe up the middle if we can manage to put those stairs the right way. Oh no. So what do y'all think? Is that looking good? It's a pretty cheap way to add just a little bit of variety to something that's purely functional. And I think like I said, 3 wide oak, yeah, that works just as well, but having just a little bit of variety down the road a piece at least will make us kind of, yeah, this is home. It's nice. So fingers crossed we live to see the day that we've built up a lot more stuff and have long since maybe stopped using this as much as some other means to get up and down and around the world. But for now, that's good. Again, these stairs, I don't think they're a waste. We've got them, but we also have a roofing project that we're going to need to accomplish, and in doing so, I think we'll definitely consume some more stairs. So extras and things like that, you got them, even though they may use up some inventory spaces temporarily. Hang on to them. You'll just find eventual uses for all that kind of stuff. So no sense in being in a rush to get rid of it. So even more as we get this last strip of steps done, we just gotta be able to buzz up and down, and no hopping up the one. It's a jump. It will more quickly burn through your food, make you hungry because you're using energy if you're hopping than if you're just walking upstairs. if you think about it, if you're out on a hike, maybe in a state park or a national park or wildlife or just some natural land around where you live, if you are constantly stepping up and down between boulders and things like that, where maybe you're climbing a big hill, if you're lucky enough to live around mountains and get a chance to go out and do some hiking, when those things start getting steeper and you're walking on the natural rock, and you got to kind of pick your ways. Wear you out. You'll feel it. That's a part of what's nice about getting out there, but it's a lot different than just cruising up and down a nice even level set of stairs. So anyway, look at that. I think we're coming along nicely here, and I'm so happy to have answered the mystery of why things were dropping on our heads. We'll get that fixed sooner rather than later, but not so soon that we're not going to head back down and see what else we can find underground till we get some of those diamonds going. We're really just filling time. So here we go. This time, we've explored our caves. We got some more iron. We're not desperate for more coal or iron at the moment, so I think we're just going to continue to push in this direction a little bit further. When we do stuff like that, remember that this is still here, and it's a little bit of a threat. If it was particularly dangerous, I may give it a ceiling. Say if we were crossing a ravine, we may throw some blocks above just to keep anything from dropping directly on us as we're moving up and down the tunnel in further pursuit or exploration. But when it's not, you just want to make sure that you have your access in kind of both directions. And just by itself, that's a little dangerous. Trying to fit into a one side or the other, you miss it and get stuck. You can find yourself a little bit trapped. So I think we've done a good job of clearing there. I don't think we're going to get a lot of hostile mobs coming right in that particular entry. So we'll call it good, and maybe we'll do some more exploration up there later on. But again, we're just crossing our fingers, watching for diamonds. Got some more iron in between though. I think, as before, we'll take that while it's here. Now, mining techniques and strats. A lot of people, it's preference really. It comes down to what you feel gives you the best use of your time when you're out there looking for diamonds or things that are hidden within the rocks. We talked about the pinhole mining, if that's how you like to refer to it, and what that implies is, just do a sample here. So if you've got a stretch like this, as you go along, you can poke in a 5-block hole like that, and then if you go 3 over and do it again, now granted we've got some of our cave system here that we've been exploring, so that's maybe not the best example, but this is kind of what you'd expect to see if you're just in the middle of bare rock. So you can see any of the other stones or potential ores or gems around you here. So we're looking, we don't see anything, but if we saw a diamond, or if we haven't, then most diamonds are going to form in generally some build off of a 4x4 area. They may have one sticking off on one side or another. Occasionally, you may find just a single one or not, but pretty rare. Usually, they're going to come in groups. So the idea of three apart is the only way that you can miss something here is if it's aligned in parallel and only has two particular diamonds, maybe up and down, those kind of things. But if there's any spread horizontally, you're going to see it on one side or the other, and that's kind of the maximize your visible efficiency. Now the trade-off, and this is I think the main reason why I do it, if I'm spending the time, no matter what point in the game I am, running around and looking at stuff, usually I get the chance to grab that stone. And there's only, between having a bunch of shulkers and kind of unlimited inventory, or, much greater than what I have right now inventory, and uh, right now, there's only a little bit of time where we've got a lot of pocket space and matching need for stone, or it's worth it to just abandon stone along the way to keep our forward progress going. And yeah, that can work for or against us, but typically, I think if I'm down here plugging away, I would rather get something for my time and the use of my tools than just leaving all that stone that's kind of in a one by one and inaccessible hole. So that's my thought, and I get to see these caves. A big part of Minecraft is exploring and seeing what's out there, and there's lots to be found even underground, like this cave area. So we'll just keep plugging along. One of the challenges when you're flooring over lava lakes and those kind of good things is you do lose track of where your torches go. It's tougher counting when you're not just mining out that 5 and then automatically one more, drop a torch. Nice little rhythm to that, particularly once you are moving with some good tools and can just kind of float your way around. It's a pretty quick way to go. But that's not to say this way is right. A lot of people are probably shaking their head and going, "My way is so much better than that. If you only knew." Well, point me to your videos if you've made some, and or just comment in the comment fields below this one to let me know how you like to approach these early hunts for diamonds. What's the best way that you know of to do it in your own personal experience? I mean, I know lots of people, you can watch lots of videos, lots of different opinions. Oh, there it is, though. Just, this is what I found has worked for me over time, and I don't think I'm going to be changing anytime too soon. So here's our diamonds underground, and as I said, usually we're just going to kind of dig this one out. I know some people like to dig out every pocket of diamonds they find to see the full area. Sometimes, usually not though, especially as the game goes on. I'm just kind of pulling them out and I'm working from there. But here's our vein of diamonds, and we were talking about way back there in our pinhole or poking style of mining. If you're looking every 3, the odds are from either direction. As you can see, there's kind of a base square here. You're going to see in one way or another one side of a diamond block. If we were coming down here and we had tunnels here, 1, 2, 3, and then another one going there, well, we'd have already seen the edge of these diamonds, and we would on the other side too. So that's the rationale behind making sure that whenever you're mining, no matter what the shape of your mine takes, you wanna kind of increase your odds of visibility by going around that every third. Um, so little thought there, but hey, we got 5 diamonds, and as we talked about, that will definitely get us an upgraded sword, and we'll probably just sit on the other three. See, maybe by the time we're heading back up here on this trip, we have a few more to add to that. Can maybe get some clothes. Again, the pick, I I like having a diamond pick, but I almost feel that it's until we are ready to enchant it, until we use those extra two, we're we're just putting more wear on that precious first one until we are ready to use it, and we don't immediately have a need for obsidian. So let's bide our time a little bit, maybe try to get um, a little bit of diamond gear to wear, and eventually we'll uh, need that pick to make use of the other two to do our bit of crafting and start spending some levels. But still a little ways off from that. And in the meantime, we're going to get a little more iron, some more coal. So get into a rich seam here of underground goodness. Let's pull these, and early on when we're mining like this, everything beyond what it takes to replace the tools that we've used on this little uh, step is a great win, because we are still a ways off from just freely using diamond picks for speed and the efficiency that they offer in mining early on just by themselves. Some people prefer, if they get a diamond pick, they are then of the opinion that I will use that diamond pick to see more blocks quickly and get more diamonds as fast as possible. And that's a very valid theory. Personally, because I will tend to at some point backtrack and be digging on those rooms, I just stick with the iron until I'm really getting some enchantments and some further bonus. I think I'm just using more diamonds than I need early in the game when they're precious. If I'm converting them and using them up as picks. So we'll see though what needs require of us as we go forward. So, ooh, look at that. We got some, listen to that. We got some nice background noises, rumbles under the earth, and whether that implies that we're about to poke out on a ravine, or if there's just one in the area that we won't necessarily see. It's part of the adventure. It's a little fun. Maybe not fun for me, maybe fun for some of you guys. Fact, or story while we're plugging away here. Um, Today is April 13th, 2021. Um, we are in the height of the kind of end of the pandemic, hopefully, vaccination cycle. People are generally able to schedule appointments to get their vaccine at any age now, without any, with the seniors that were living in shared housing, apartments and senior centers and those kind of things. I got early opportunity along with uh, folks that had medical necessities for it, and then they've kind of inched the age requirements down here in the United States for people that may, or hopefully, so that everybody, or at least enough people, can get vaccinated to slow this COVID stuff down and stop it having enough people to spread through. Well, uh, I was definitely in that last group of people to get the availability, kind of the general public group. So I was waiting, and happily, about a week ago, they'd announced that, yep, we're setting that up. People can begin to schedule and get their vaccination appointments, make their plans, and hopefully everybody can get vaccinated. Within a couple weeks. Obviously, everybody can't go at once, but they seem to be doing a pretty good job. Well, I waited a few days. I kind of was of that. Everybody that's sitting there chomping at the bit is gonna gobble up those first appointments, and that's okay. I can continue to live safe for another week or two. We've been doing it for a year. I think everybody's gotten pretty good at it, hopefully by now. So that was kind of my mentality. And last week I was happy. I had first, kind of, all right, today's my day. I'm going to get an appointment. This is the job for the day. And buckled down. I sat at my browser and kind of started clicking, and just like loading YouTube videos or anything else, it's not a tough process, but there's some tricks that you learn as you are trying it out for that first time. And by after a couple hours, I kind of figured out the routine, which was find a place that's got some appointments in your area, and then grab one of the later of the available appointments that they're offering. And the trick there is, whenever you got a whole bunch of people constantly refreshing in a browser and trying to get the same limited number of offerings, people are going to, for the most part, click on the first one they can see your offer. Well, as you're doing that, if there's time slots available, appointments specifically for vaccinations or anything else, you kind of do a little bit better if you go, okay, well, I think everybody's going to be trying for that 9 a.m. one. It's the first one on the screen as it loads. So I was looking later at any time that there was a site that had some appointments available. I would try to click to the later one of the listings, and wasn't having a ton of luck. Was getting a little frustrated with the whole process. And I noted on a couple of them that there's a show more button. You can actually see, on occasion when they had more to offer. Hey, look at that, more diamonds. Um, that you could see time slots that didn't even show up in the first page of results, and that worked out really well. So I had gotten an appointment, and it was for, I think this was on maybe a Wednesday, Thursday or something, a week ago ish, and I was able to get set up for one of the two, and I think it was the Moderna version, which is a 2 dose. Had an appointment and was ready to go. Well, I'd kind of picked that day to try because they were doing a large venue mass vaccination offering really close to me, and I had started looking like, oh, that's going to be a lot of opportunities or possibilities. So let me watch that one. So I was sitting out. It was already booked. I had my two scheduled appointments. One for a couple days out, and the next for the few weeks later to get that second dose. And so yeah, okay, yeah, it's gonna get me taken care of. I'm on my way. Well, it turned out that I was able to get a appointment for today for the 1 dose Johnson and Johnson vaccine, and depending on how current viewers are on this video, today maybe forgotten, it may end up just being a blurb in the road, but it may not be, depending on how it all comes out. But this morning, as I was coming back in from wandering, I just been out taking a nice little walk. There's a little dusting of snow, and we've had really mild weather where I live, and it's been nice mid-spring kind of weather to be out in. And today there was a little dusting of snow to remind us, yeah, we're not quite there yet, and a little cooler. So I'd been out for a walk. It was nice. And came back in and was just starting the shower, and I happened to pick up my phone to say, okay, what's going on in the world? Are there any updates from my friends, anything like that? And one of my friends texted, well, it looks like trouble with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And this morning they had just announced that there had been some folks that had reactions to the Johnson & Johnson stuff, something with blood platelets that it seems marginal when your own appointment for that day is being threatened by, like, 6 people out of 6 million, and it doesn't seem like it was life threatening or anything. Can we make our own choice? Well, they're doing the right thing, right? They want to be sure of it, so the CDC here in the United States, that's the Centers for Disease Control, and the federal government health people put out a warning and said, we're advising to suspend the use of that vaccine until further studies, or until they can kind of get to the bottom of what's happening with these people. Well, this was the morning of my scheduled appointment to take that dose, and here my friends are, and my first reaction was, oh, okay, here we go, guys. They all knew I was excited about it. I was going to get one dose and be done with the whole thing today, and I'd let them know that was coming. Well, I thought I was getting trolled through text messages. Turned out they were right. I popped on the news, and it was just as their press conferences were coming out, and I kind of looked at my email right when I saw it, and I hadn't seen anything further reply to my confirmation email or anything. I was like, well, I don't know. And yeah, it only took a little bit of looking to find out they'd updated the website for my today's session. They hadn't sent anything to me specifically, but said that, yeah, people could keep their appointments and they'd be offered. I believe Pfizer is what we're set to get, so I'll go ahead and get that. I'd rather just be done with it. But interesting, just one more way that 2020 can still reach out into 2021 to make our lives a little more complicated than we'd ever expected. And I certainly appreciate that, being protected from any possible reactions, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was really excited about the possibility of one and done. Get the shot, know that you've got it, and I know that there's variations between the various flavors of vaccine out there. Um, None of that. I was purely convenience. I'd had a 2 dose, but I was like, if I can have it and be done with it by waiting a couple days from last Friday till today, so 4 days to only have to deal with one appointment, I'll take it. And now I'm left with the question. I'm sure I'll find out when I'm there, and I would imagine that they're probably just going to try to reschedule all of us that get this shot today for X number of days out. They'll just block those out and make sure that we get our second doses as easily as possible. At least I hope so, man. If they just kind of send you out and go, okay, yeah, good luck, go get a second dose, that'll be a big frustration. But that's what I got going on this afternoon. It's first dose at least, so happy about that. Now, I stopped here because obviously we've got a little bit of dribble here. We talked about it, that even though most lava lakes down here will form at level 11, there can be others at other heights. This could be a lake. It could be just a source of lava that kind of makes a lava flow through a cave. Whatever it is, it's potentially going to rain down on our head, and further evidence of why you never just mine straight up in Minecraft. Again, there's not going to be a lot of lava up in the high underground levels. You get some surface lava lakes, and you get very few um, lakes scattered. I don't know the exact number, so I won't guess one, but so probably around level 20 or so, you start to see more. Oh, ooh, we are right on the brink. Okay, well, that's good. So, as we talked about, there can be lakes and there can be lava flows underground. We've already kind of blown through some of those in our earlier caving, but we've got one that's starting up above us and ultimately flows down to where it was dripping on our heads below. So, this is good. This means that we don't have to do an extensive building project or mitigation damming project to keep moving in the same direction we'd already started working on. Now you have to be a little careful. If we take, say, that block, all of a sudden this lava may start flowing back around on top of us. We don't want to do that. But if we hug the wall here and kind of stay careful, oh, look at that, we can sit here and not get burned. I mean, just imagine the temperatures, right? We'd probably, if we were in Iceland right next to the volcano outside Reykjavik, we'd probably be pretty uncomfortable. But we're not. And in Minecraft, we seem to be able to quite comfortably hang out right next door to some lava. And as we'll see in later environments, can, for a time at least, quite comfortably go paddling around in what seems to be very easily swim through lava. Doesn't seem to be that thick, really cool lava. More so here than in the Nether, where it flows a little bit more quickly. Now, this lava is great because it's lighting things up. It seems really bright up here. When we stop it, more slowly than water, it's going to work its way down the hill, and eventually we'll lose all that light that it had been giving us. And that's, a little bit of a shame, but we're not going to cry about it too much. It'll show if there's anything sitting underneath it. And while at times I like to maintain the natural look, what you find in the caves, when it comes to the point of there's lava that's flowing down over the direction I want to tunnel in, sorry, lava, time for you to go. So that's what we're going to do on this one. There will be plenty of other lava flows out there in this world for us to explore and marvel at the beauty of. So we'll let this one dissipate, and there you go. You can see it's kind of moving on its way. Now, one thing that we want to be careful of is I'm doing the exact opposite, turning my back to it. That lava was protecting us from anything that could be down in this cave, and by keeping it lit was preventing direct spawning. And now it looks like, yeah, we've stumbled into yet another pretty cool and complex underground cave system, which is great. We've been doing well. We've got 9 pieces of diamond. I'd like to see if we can maybe grab a few more here. And this works out pretty well with this last pick. Let's up our torches. Make sure that we've got as many in hand as we need. Our food is already good, and we've got a golden apple in hand in case disaster strikes. We've also got our shield at the ready. So let's do that. Now, once I open these up, we may find ourselves in a skedaddle mode. Um, this one I'm gonna leave a little bit. I don't know how far back we go in that direction, but anything that is in that corner can't come. It won't fight the current to come after us. So that keeps us a little more secure. And as I said, my biggest concern is uphill. What's the stuff that's just going to be racing downhill at our heads? So let's run up. All kind, this is a cave. It looks like we're full of potential and could probably fill a whole full stream to. Right. Am I made a botch of that? That's what we got bread for. A little bread sandwich. Maybe it's a nice baguette. Kind of one of those. See, now that guy has a enchanted bow. Glows and could offer any number of possible impacts against us. Timing's all off. We got him, and unfortunately, he didn't drop the bow that he was carrying. You get a chance when you see the monsters that are either wearing gear or carrying weapons, or sometimes you'll see a zombie, for instance, that's just toting around an iron block for some reason. So every once in a while, those guys will drop them. I think in the last world we even got a carrot, maybe, from one of the zombies we encountered early on. And so, it's always worth checking your inventory, see if you got that later, or even as we just, move through quickly, we're going to find that some of these things become trash that we don't want to bother carrying around. But look for opportunities to combine things like torches, where you've got a few extras and are using them up. Sometimes when you pick up your own, if you knock them, they'll decide to occupy a separate stack. So we'll just keep going. And again, it's all these kind of things where there's a threshold. Mounds are not going to intentionally drop from a height that would straight up kill them. You have to encourage them a little bit if you want to make use of that. But they can go quite a ways where you would take more damage than you would consider that as being in the same vicinity. But for them, it's worth it to take their shot at you by dropping straight down. So just be aware of that. Kind of try to get these heights above you in the caves lit if possible, and not a bad idea to explore them to see how high up they go and if there's anything of note above you. So this because we've used up a number of our picks already, we're winding towards the latter part of this particular mine run, and that will probably, we may do a little bit of housekeeping stuff, try to make a little more progress up on the surface. I don't want to go too long today because, as I said, looking forward to that appointment. Want to make sure I'm ready to go there. So we'll just gather back and make sure we don't get too lost in this cave, and try to get back home again before we run out of time. But yeah, it was some good resources when you get a chance, and it keeps us nice and safe going forward. And this is all from noting that we had a little bit of lava raining down towards our heads and wanted to make sure that didn't turn into a lake emptying on our heads in the very next block that we went into. Um, and many are probably saying, and it's not that big a deal. You could just reach up and real quick block that lava, put a block up there. Yeah, you will have plenty of opportunity to mitigate lava in those kinds of ways as we go. But um, in the early game, this is exactly the reason to kind of see what's above you. You don't have the gear. You got a much more narrow safety margin when it comes to things like potentially lighting yourself on fire. So we'll make use of those until we're a little more equipped to go. And after our first trip to the Nether, we're going to kind of come back and go, hey, lava. We cared about lava. All right, well, fair enough. But that's the truth. We're just young novice adventurers, kind of getting our feel for the world. So let's take this lapis. I can't recall if we already had some. It looks like we already did in this world, but lapis being a little less common than redstone, and you don't need it in as much bulk either, but it definitely comes into play. So here's where we checked. We're coming back out, and yeah, this is one of those spots where the redstone, I'm getting low on my pick. I could certainly just grab the XP from it, gather it up. I think we're far enough outside that unless this direction leads to an area that we're going to be going back and forth between often, and it could, if we found some kind of a mob spawner in this direction or a abandoned mine shaft, those would all be reasons why we may be coming up and down this hallway more regularly. If we find any of those, then yeah, we'll be back to grab up that redstone. But until we do, I'd like to just maximize out our space with coal and iron to the point that our pick lasts. But let's see now. How are we going to get to these goodies? Maybe up here. And since we've come up, we want to throw a torch up there. Just if we do end up back along in this little pathway, and with it being right at the edge of our tunnel, we want to make sure we keep that well lit and free of fresh mobs. So there we go. We'll just for next time under here get that cleared up. But that explains where dripping lava was coming from. We dealt with it, we got rid of it, and now it's free. I think what I'm gonna do is, as I just said, we've got two holes left, not a lot of pick, and we'll just start plucking some of the redstone that we have along our back trail as we go. And we've got two more holes here that were a part of our initial, so I think we're going to go all the way out to a torch, get this last little bit of redstone here, and this, of course, the lava was sitting right up there. That's why we got that glow. So we'll leave this open. We got rid of our stairs, obviously, so we didn't have a real access to this. I like to keep either head height or knee height access and blocking on my trail, just so I don't have to steer. Right? If you're blocked in, I don't have any way to get off track. If I'm running along pointed at this wall, I still can't get hung up as I'm cruising along. And if we did end up pointed towards a mob spawner or something underground like this, prior to expanding any of those pathways, just keeping it one wide with a constant barrier like that, really, it stops you having to really drive as you're running one that's kind of like those antique car rides at amusement parks that go so slow and kind of backfire a lot and keep you on a metal track in the middle of the road. So you're, you know, 3 and 4 year olds can get a taste for driving without taking off across the lawn or running into the people queued up to go next. It's pretty nice to not have to worry about that. And here we go. We're very close to being chock full. And if we needed to, we could switch out. There's certainly stuff in my inventory that I don't need, but it's early. Even zombie flesh, I don't know that we have a full stack of it back home, and not that there's a lot of need, but we'll just take what we get here. So yeah, we can absolutely jam full of redstone if we need to, but I don't think we're gonna bother. I think we're just gonna zoom. There's some more there, but we'll have lots of other opportunities if we push out in this direction to keep looking. But I think not that we're going to do so immediately, but our next journeys underground, we will push down parallel on the other side of our 5 block wide um, space, so that as we then start to expand, we've got our 2 edges. We can cut a chunk across the middle and go from there. And ultimately, we'll move that to the west. If I recall correctly, maybe the east. um, we're gonna push it that way eventually, because just a single 5x5 channeler is going to feel very claustrophobic and small. But maybe a couple more in this direction, and then moving down ultimately to mirror those crops that we're going to plant above this. And then we'll just take it in the direction, and that'll give us a big area for lots of storage and whatever else we may need. So yeah, good run. Let's go up our awesome new racing stripe stairway. Look at how cool it is. Looks like we may have some rain going on again. We got a lot of rain already in our new. Oh, this is we got 3 good whacks of our pick left here. Let's get this. Ah, so nice. Stop clunking our head. The goose eggs that we were growing were formidable. So there we go. Good haul to store away. Let's put our bones. And I thought we had some zombie flesh. I already get rid of that. Oh well. We got lots of cobble. Drop all that, and being full, we're a little empty. I always like to have a few blocks to make a quick stair, early exit, or a quick getaway when you're down underground. Even just for ease of traveling, it's good to have a few extra blocks ready to go. But we'll top off our furnace, cook that coal, top this guy off too, and now we've actually got a more than enough coal. It's so good at the moment that we're kind of filling up our holes. We'll spill over into the iron column for a moment. Up to 15 arrows, which is nice. If we can get that maybe up to around 40, it might be worth our while to tote a bow and use those to slow down creepers a little bit when they're approaching from a distance. Nice to save make it a 2-shot shot, or even deal with maybe a skeleton that's shooting at us from an inaccessible spot, and we can kind of play with cover and try to get him worn down. But 15 arrows, that doesn't go very far. 1 or 2 misses, and we're already looking at using them all up on a single enemy. So I pulled my sticks here, as we talked about. Very first priority with our diamonds is to upgrade that sword. And while we're swapping that out, we'll just go. Diamond sword has a 7 attack damage and a 1.6 attack speed. Our iron only had a 6 attack damage. The speed isn't going to change a whole lot. That's just the nature of it being a sword. You don't have to use a sword. If you want to be the battle axe toting warrior type, you can use an axe, and it has that advantage of, look at that, just with iron, 9 attack damage. So as a base weapon, it's even better than a diamond sword for dealing damage per hit, but it's much slower. That point 0.9 attack speed, you're making a big trade in the frequency of being able to attack. So we're going to take the sword. For one thing, it only takes 2 diamonds, and when you come right down to it, making a diamond axe um, limits you a little bit there. There are other minor enchanting factors down the road. You can't put the same enchantments to make a fully loaded axe as you could a sword. And while those are still going to compare favorably with the damage that an axe can do on a base level, it certainly is nice to get a sword that is chock full of enchantments that are all going to help us out when we're out doing battle. So we'll talk more about that. But as some of you may know, with 7 diamonds, and as I said, I'm not going to just sit on surplus at the moment. We're going to go ahead and make ourselves a nice little pair of pants. Look at that. We do get a new advancement for it. Cover me with diamonds, and look at that. Now we're a little color coordinated. We got a little accent just to our plain white and slightly rusting in this rain iron armor. So good deal there. Now I kind of call me sentimental, and we don't really have the storage for it yet, but I like to hang on to the stuff I've used in a game. It's just, you get down the road, eventually we're gonna have probably a nice bedroom, and you're gonna want some furniture, maybe some armor stands in it, and yeah, it'd be cool to say this was our very first set of iron armor if we don't lose it all or let it wear down too much, and hopefully we'll find enough diamonds to get the rest of those replaced. But that's it's a nice thing to stash. The other thing that obviously we need to do right away is get both our torches and our tools resupplied. And again, we did very well on the iron with that second cave. So we're going to get our whole new stock of picks that we'd used up. And we'll carry this one. It'll be so quick in whatever we're doing to get to the point where we have enough wear to just merge those that we might as well carry it along. We won't fill up our inventory between now and then, I don't think, but depending on what we're working on. But in between now and then, we got a lot. So we still got almost as much as we started the session with today. The other thing we're going to do is store our iron sword. Now, the iron swords will still have uses down the road. Limited though they are, but there's one function that really goes through swords quickly, and I even when I've got mending and more or less will have the same iron or same diamond sword to use for the game. I don't like to use it necessarily for all functions of swords, so I'll keep that handy, and we may use it and others down the road, but leave that one set for now. I don't, and of course, we probably just came out of a night cycle. Let's get our cooked mutton down. We've been carrying that around for so long, and I think we're not too terribly far away from uh, getting an opportunity to grow some beef. But this is the point we wanted to get to, where we've got enough harvestable wheat to make it worth running through. I don't like hunting and pecking. When it's early carrots and potatoes, I will, just to get more to replant. But for now, I don't want to, waste my time kind of picking through. But I guess, it's rainy and we're not going to do a lot. So this is the most efficient way. We don't want to back up our growth on these wheats that are close to finished, but not quite there. And all these represent the growth stages. Here's, you know, first stage, and then it grows up to these little guys and eventually gets a little taller. It's still green, and then it starts to mature a little bit as it's getting taller. Second to the last stage, it's starting to get fairly brown, and then when it's ready to go, we've we've got nice golden wheat across our fruited plain. So it's doing pretty well. Usually, I'll call it is acceptable loss for time, and that is the speed at which you can just take down everything in the field without worrying if it's finished or not is worth it to get the most of your stuff already done growing than it is to do this hunt and peck stuff. But we're early enough along, and I'd like to get that second harvest done fairly quickly. So yeah, this will get us enough wheat to keep feeding the cows that are out there, and not force us to be back in the same situation where not everything is grown. After waiting as long as we have this time, we'll still have a little bit of wait when these newest seeds start growing up, but we got a head start, and our sun is starting to go down. So our chicken there will stay out of our field because we've already got seeds. And of course, his buddy didn't come along or safe. I hope I didn't invite in trouble by leaving the door open there. It's kind of a mistake. Maybe this rain ends. Fingers crossed. Well, we got daylight. There we go. You go ahead and dry up, sun. Or dry up, sun. Dry up, rain. Look at that. Oh, can you smell the fresh rain on the grass? It's wonderful. So we're gonna hit our cows again with all this fresh wheat that we have, and I think as kind of our highlight of the day in a shortened session, we'll go around and leave this round of baby cows in single parent homes, if you know what I mean. Yeah, Daddy's about to go out for a jug of milk at the grocery store and not come back, and we'll just say he got lost along the way. But when working with animals, as we talked about axes versus swords, I definitely prefer axes when working with animals, and we'll see once we switch this over to a paddock. Swords have, even at their base level, have an area of effect. You can even, just picking up a wooden sword, you have the chance of banging the shins of a couple enemies around you, and that's a good thing, right? It definitely helps if you're staring at a whole flock of zombies that are looking to get on better terms with you. But when you're working with baby cows amid adult cows, using that sword is going to potentially get some of them too. And that's the last thing we want. We want to make sure that we're continuing to grow our herd of cattle, uh, even on those cycles when we want to make sure that we come away with some beef and some leather. And this is kind of where that continual work in the background, always having our cows being fed and growing up as we've been working on our mines, starts to pay off quite a bit. Because without having really focused our time on it, we've now got what is going to become a good bit of steak eventually, and some leather that's going to get us on the way to our bookcases that we'll want. And even that's a herd of cattle that's on the brink of being a contained herd. So we'll let those few extra ones be replaced. Again, we're not really decreasing the numbers even on this turn. We're just breeding up some young, and then taking one or the other of the parents. So they'll be still out there ready to. I think I got a sheep in the middle there, so he's going to be confused. Yeah, we'll here get to improve our food supply drastically, and not really limit our growing number of cows that eventually we'll throw in a paddock. But having the axe, as you saw, none of our baby cows were damaged in that process. Sometimes they catch a wild swing, and we feel bad about that. But look at that, we've got 20 raw beef, and we're gonna go ahead and cook that right up, because along with our 20 bread, that will be good. We can even get another golden apple going, and 12 is a very good start on the amount of leather that we're going to need for bookcases and books. So I hope everyone's had a wonderful time here. I hope you enjoyed the session. Again, we got to play in a few caves. We got to do some combat. We found our diamonds, which is spectacular. And we've even started harvesting a few of the cows we've been working on for the last few videos. So making good progress. We're moving in the right direction. We'll continue to gather up those diamonds in the episodes to come, while kind of converting our first little outpost into a little bit more of a home as we have more time. But for now, thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to leave a like or comment if you did. That will certainly help out in the future. And for now, go ahead and tell a friend if you found me and think that they may enjoy this content as well. Have a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. For now, be safe out there. Enjoy, and if you're also awaiting a vaccine, I hope you get it soon. So, thanks so much, and have a great and wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.